I feel like I'm being canonized. Wow, what a bunch of beautiful people. God bless each and every one of you for coming tonight, for standing up for life, for promoting a culture of life from the moment of conception till natural death. Just a quick look at where we're at with Planned Parenthood. You know, they invaded our city in August of 2008, and there's only one organization that had the courage and the boldness to stand up to this 800-pound gorilla. That was little David, Dubuque County Right to Life. Of course, when you look back on it, it only made sense. Dubuque County Right to Life was formed by a handful of people in 1986. And we had one of the brightest pro-life Eagle Legals in Art Galoon. He heads our legal staff. In fact, he is our legal staff. And he, of course, has put in absolutely thousands of hours helping people in the pro-life movement, especially in Dubuque. And then another wonderful member of the Dubuque County Right to Life from the word goal was kind of nicknamed George Patton. She's a female, of course. And it's Maureen Ward. Now this gal does not take any prisoners. She's just a little bitty lady, about 4'11", maybe 95 pounds, soaking wet. On Friday afternoons, you can see her normally outside of Planned Parenthood with smoke blowing out of her ears, fire in her eyes, and a big sign that says, "Babies killed here." Well, when Planned Parenthood came to Dubuque, she immediately put together a group that was called the PPP, Protest Planned Parenthood. And they are responsible for so many of the billboards, the radio ads, the newspaper ads, the signs, all the things we need to get our little spiritual army out there and standing up peacefully and prayerfully. And then one other person that I just want to mention and bring her up here with me is our own Mother Teresa, Ellen Markham. Come on up, Ellen. Now, Ellen is a registered nurse by trade. She was a director of Dubuque County Right to Life for a long time. She thought that she could retire in 2008, but the good Lord had other plans. And because she's so passionate about the little ones, the babies, and the mothers and fathers that are so badly misguided living in this pagan, secular society we have, she immediately took on the task of staffing and scheduling our picketers for the last 6 years until the present. You know, I asked Ellen to come up here today. I know so many of you know her, but of course, 6 years have passed, and a lot of our picketers have either hopefully took off for heaven, or they're just incapacitated physically or mentally. So we have so many young people here today, and I wanted them to see Ellen, Mother Teresa, if you will. You just call her number and say, "Mother Teresa, I would like to picket at such and such a time." So here we are. Planned Parenthood was open Monday through Friday, 42 hours a week when they opened up down in Central. 2 years ago, this June 10th, under the cover of darkness, they moved their operations out to 3365 Hillcrest. Oh, you're going to stay up here. Here, hold that. When they moved out here, or just before they moved here, they had to renovate this building that they plopped right in the middle of our city with our Redeemer Lutheran Church just a few blocks away, daycare center just a couple hundred yards away, ARC. I mean, they gave us the biggest bird in the world, and they're still doing it. So here's the deal. If you drive by 3365 Hillcrest Road, you'll notice there's 5 windows facing the picketers. And of these 5 windows, 4 of them have the shades completely drawn, and the 5th one has the shades brought down except for a little bit at the bottom. The point is, there's always hope. Evil likes darkness, but there's just a little light going in there, and hopefully, as we increase with our summer surge, we're going to eliminate these closed blinds and get them open and get that place bulldozed down and something decent going in there. Now, this is really a plea, especially for our young people. You understand that we only have a certain group of people that we can normally go to, and that's us, the older people. And a lot of us have one foot in the grave, one on a banana peel. And we don't have access to the working people because you're working during the hours that they're open. And of course, we don't have access to the students because you're trying to learn and make this world a better place. But we are going to have a chance to get at the younger people this summer. We can tell you right now that on Mondays, Planned Parenthood is open normally just 5 hours a day, 10 to 3. There's only one employee there. The most they get is maybe 2 or 3 people stopping for supplies or information. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they're completely closed. Thursdays and Fridays, they're open normally 5 hours a day. The problem is they do these chemical executions normally between the hours of 11 and 2. Now, what we want is these young people, especially to, I don't know what you call it in your lingo today, these, I don't want to use the term mob, but we found out that there was Beckman kids coming in great loads during 40 Days for Life and maybe after that. And when they were there, Planned Parenthood didn't want any part of it, and they closed that hour down. When you're standing there, especially as a young people, when your peers go in there, they're going to think twice, maybe 3 times that this isn't the right choice. You know, the worst thing that these young folks do is I don't think they're thinking properly. I mean, how could you with this goofy society we live in? But when they see these young people out there standing, the last thing you want to do is not only is that baby lost, but the mother and father, they're going to suffer tremendously somewhere down the line when they realize what they've done. So Alan's holding a nice little sheet here, and we're going to, what are the little girls' names that are coming around? Heritage Girls. They're lovely young ladies. They're going to be coming around. This is a 2-part sheet, and basically it's just asking you, whoever you are, to sign up for an hour and for the older people, pick out a nice day, but come and stand with us. You know, the good Lord didn't make a bunch of wimps. He said, don't be afraid. You know, if you're hot or cold, you know, he can work with us. But if we're lukewarm, he just soon spit us out. And don't be afraid. The most precious thing in the world are these little babies. Every one of us, that's where we came from. So we have to stand up and say, you know, this is just wrong. So in closing, June, July, and August especially, we need the young people to come out, and of course we need the older people too, although we did have to put some physical restrictions. First of all, you must have a pulse. Secondly, you must be able to breathe on your own. But other than that, bring your walker, bring your wheelchair, your cane, your lawn chair. If you can do an hour, fine. If you can do a half hour, fine. The main thing is that you're out there and you're saying, you know, this is wrong and we have to change this. And I guarantee you, when you go home at night and you look in that mirror, you can say, you know, I feel pretty good about myself. You know, and if you're an older person and your time's up and you clonk out there, I think the good Lord's just going to wave you in. Come on in, you know. The bottom line is God is the author and giver of life, and nobody has the authority to destroy unborn life. Our job is to pray. We need unquenchable thirst for prayer, and we have to trust. He's in charge, not us. And then we just try, whatever our state of life is. And we never, 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 never give up. God bless you all, and thank you. Thank you.
Our friend Gary is just one example of the many, many lives that have been touched and healed through our Life Is campaign. Thank you all for making that possible.
Would we have a 40-year-old son
and
or
now,
daughter today?
the reason you're here tonight. I am honored to introduce our internationally known guest speaker. Our keynote is one of the youngest and most inspirational pro-life speakers in America today. Sean Carney began in the pro-life movement while he was in college. He later became the executive director of the Coalition for Life, a huge organization made up of over 60 churches. In 2004, Sean helped to lead the first ever 40 Days for Life campaign. He was personally responsible for one of our former Life Dinner speakers, Abby Johnson, for leaving Planned Parenthood. Yes. Sean is a regular media spokesperson. His work has been featured on hundreds of media outlets. He serves as the executive producer and host of a new pro-life television series called Being Human. He's married and has 4 children. Sean is no stranger to Dubuque. He was a speaker for Dubuque County Right to Life once before. We just want him to remember, we knew him before he was internationally famous. Please help me warmly welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Sean Carney.
Well, good evening. It is good to be back in Dubuque, and I do have a connection here because Ellen, AKA Mother Teresa,
we didn't know we had already started.
She asked me to speak here. I guess that was 8 years ago. I was 23 or 24 years old at the time. We had 1 child and 1 on the way. And it was one of the first few times I'd ever been asked to leave Texas and to go speak. And I'd never been to Iowa, but I knew what all mature adults know about Iowa, that Field of Dreams is here. And so Ellen took me around, I think I gave 92 talks in 3 days. It was pretty amazing. And in the midst of that, we did go and see the Field of Dreams, which was way too cool for me. And I bought a t-shirt, which I wear all the time, so that people ask me where I got it, and I can say, I've been there. And my children, all the t-shirt says is, if you build it, he will come. And so my kids, who can now, the two oldest can read now, they always ask me what that means. And I try to explain it before being cut off by my wife. And she just said one day this exact sentence: you need to stop trying to explain Field of Dreams to our children. So it is so good to be back in a place that is doing so much for the unborn, and that is really becoming an example not just throughout the great state of Iowa, but throughout the country. I mentioned that I do have 4 children, a 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old. 3 girls and a boy. We have a very calm home where nothing goes on whatsoever. And over the last 3.5 years, because of the growth of 40 Days for Life, we lived in Virginia for the last 3.5 years. Then we were able to move back to Texas last summer. But when we moved up there, we had 3 children, a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And when we decided we were driving from Texas to Virginia to live, our children fall asleep whenever we get in the car, and we're in the car for 10 minutes. So like a young, naive father, I assumed the children would sleep the 3-day and 2-night trip all the way to Virginia. And I'm from a very large Irish family. The Irish are not a humble people. What little humility we do have, we're extremely proud of. So God has a way of humbling those who need it. So you can imagine my reaction when our 3 children slept a combined 1 hour during that 3-day, 2-night trip all the way to Virginia. They were good, but they were awake. Although I'm pretty sure there's a Cracker Barrel outside of Knoxville we can never go back to. And so we are glad, after 4 years of being there, to be back in Texas. My 2 oldest are Irish twins. They are 11 months apart. And technically, if you do the math, they're 10.5 months apart. We just say 11 to make it seem like we spaced them out. I did not know what Irish twins were until we had Irish twins. That's when you have 2 children born within 12 months of one another who aren't twins. And so we are, Bridget, Bailey, Seamus, and Bernadette are my children, and I just couldn't be happier to be asked to come back to Dubuque and to see all that you are doing and all that God is doing through you in a time when our nation has forgotten where it's come from and does not know where it's going, which is an extremely dangerous combination. And we as Americans are left with looking at the most important levels of all levels to fight this fight, the local level. And that's exactly what you're doing here tonight. And it is no wonder that this room is packed through the leadership of Ellen and Marion, that you are here on a Friday night to address this issue where it hurts you, here in Dubuque, Iowa, where you live. Many years ago, Jocelyn Elders, who was the Surgeon General under the Clinton administration, got caught in a very awkward moment in an interview when she was asked about abortion, and she got real frustrated and just cut off the reporter and said, "Look, Americans need to get over their love affair with the fetus." Americans need to get over their love affair